Hello and welcome to Self-Care Monday, presented by Ess McKee and 10 East Arts. And I'm Samantha Simpson, and I am a posture and body coach. And I help people feel better in their body, find a primal posture that supports their skeletal structure and their myofascial structure, and encourages laser focus, mindfulness, and confidence that changes their life. And today I'm going to share with you about this posture modality that I teach. It's called the Bowspring. So welcome, and I hope you enjoy this. I'm going to share a screen with you now. All right. So the alignment system that I teach is called Bowspring. It is radical and revolutionary, and I'm so enthusiastic about it because I've helped people heal injuries, heal constant pain, and have more confidence that changes their lives, gets them better relationships, has better health, and feeling better in their bodies, in addition to boundless energy. And who doesn't want that? And I just want to thank Ess McKee for inviting me to do this, and 10 East Arts for sharing this programming with people. And I am honored to share my passion with you today. And I am thankful for you to watch this video and learning more how you can find healthy mindfulness practices and add them into your life. So what is Bowspring? I'm going to teach you about this beautiful new alignment system. It is smart. It is something that makes sense, and it is functional. It works in the body. It works in the mind, and it's revolutionary. It is new, and it's based off of new science. It supports your physical health, your brain, your spiritual life, and your emotional wellness as well. And it is so important in this day and age, especially with what's been going on lately, because we are sitting all of the time. We're finding ourselves in a hunched over position. You can see from the illustrations here, there are some things that you recognize in your everyday life. Teens these days have their phones all the times, and we as adults do that as well. We are putting ourselves in a hunched over posture, and our body stays that way if we don't do something about it. In addition to that, shoes can form our foot posture in such a way that it later down the line, it affects our knee health, it affects our hip health, and it affects our spine. So things that you might not even think about are happening in your body right now. So when I say posture, I'm talking about whole body posture from the head to the toe. So I am so excited to share with you this postural system that I do. It has changed my life in so many ways. I have the privilege to work with world-class teachers, and in this photograph here on the upper left corner, I am with the originators of this beautiful mindful system, and I work with them, and I've learned from the source. I have that advantage, and it has really informed my teaching. And I work with people one-on-one, coaching clients, and I also teach groups of people, and I work with people virtually and in person when we can do that as well. And it has changed my life, and people tell me that the Bowspring has changed their lives as well. So it is my pleasure and passion to share it with as many people as I can. Now, a little bit about myself. My life wasn't always like this. I wasn't always living my dream by sharing my passion with other people. I had a hard childhood. In fact, I didn't speak in public until I was 12 years old. I was so shy, and I didn't have any friends, and I hated it. When I got older, I started to talk a little bit, but I had trouble communicating with people. I didn't have intimacy in relationships. I had a hard time with my family and a hard time making friends because I didn't have enough confidence. As I got older, I jumped from career to career. I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I wasn't focused. I couldn't focus on anything for long enough. So as a result, I was always pretty broke. As far as my health went, my health started to take a turn for the worse when I was in my early 30s. I got sick all the time. I had terrible indigestion and stomach issues, and it made it so it was hard to be around me, and it was hard for me to go out and do anything. I felt terrible all the time, and doctors didn't know what was wrong. In addition to that, my mental health was suffering. I was depressed. I had anxiety. I had tried every kind of medication in the book for that, but nothing really worked. As a result, I had no hope or no joy in my life. And I didn't even want to get out of my comfort zone. I didn't like to leave my place or drive very far away places. But then, after a particularly depressing period of my life, I decided that I wanted to make the change, and I was introduced to the Bowspring movement and posture system. And since then, my life has changed exponentially. After I discovered the Bowspring, my life changed more in 2 years than it had in the previous 20. I started my own business. I got off of the medications. My health improved tremendously. I started helping other people. I changed my life by changing my posture. So now I work with people one-on-one, inspiring them, teaching them this new postural system, and it's changed my life and changed the life of the people that I work with. So what is the Bowspring? That's what the million-dollar question is right now. So the Bowspring is a postural template. It is a template that you can carry in your body all throughout the day. So whatever you're doing, whether you're cooking dinner, you can be using the posture. If you are playing with your kids in the backyard, you can hold the posture. If you're going for a jog, you can hold the posture. I use the posture when I'm sewing, when I am exercising in any type of workout class, and I also use the posture when I'm taking a Bowspring class. So it's a posture that you can use in your everyday life. It's also its own practice that you do on the mat. Bowspring is a posture of readiness. It's an animalistic quality of readiness. So when you are in the Bowspring posture, you're ready for whatever comes your way without being thrown off guard or falling down. Bowspring helps you to not fall down, and then when you do fall down, it helps you to pop back up. There's the springiness to it, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Bowspring is accessible to people at any fitness or age level. I don't care if you are sitting in the nursing home bed, you can prop yourself up in this alignment and experience relief from pain. It doesn't matter if you're not in a very good fitness situation right now. You can start to make changes to your posture and add little exercises into your everyday life and experience the benefits of this beautiful alignment system. I've also worked with people who are experienced athletes, and they found tremendous advantage in using the Bowspring alignment in their game. So if you are an athlete already, it's going to make your game stronger and faster. The Bowspring is revolutionary. So it is brand spanking new. It comes hot off the presses based off of new science on fascia and the healthiness of your fascia. So your fascia is your connective tissue. We'll talk a little bit about more in a second. So you can see in this picture, the woman with the purple background, she's doing a Bowspring practice. She's doing lunging exercises right now. And then there's another picture of a woman with a shovel. She's doing work in the Bowspring. And then the picture on the bottom, that's me vacuuming the carpet in the Bowspring alignment. So it makes every movement that you do more powerful. And when you're in the alignment, when you're doing your everyday activities, you're actually toning and healing your body without even going to the gym. So there is the standard model of posture, which is what we've been told is healthy posture. And then there's the Bowspring model. Can you see the difference here? So the standard model is a stacked skeletal structure where the bones are stacked on top of each other. The Bowspring model is based off of a tensegrity structure, which is bouncy and moving. Which one do you think would be more beneficial if somebody came up and tipped you over? Well, certainly not the stacked model, because you would fall right over. That Lincoln log structure would collapse. Now, if somebody pushes on the tensegrity structure, you will bounce right back in place. And fascia, that's the $1 million word I spoke about earlier. So Bowspring is based off of new science on fascia. Fascia is connective tissue. Think about it as the fluid collagen structure that keeps your body tied together. If you eat a piece of meat, it's the white part, the sinew, and it forms around all of your muscles, all of your bones. It is what your tendons and ligaments are made out of. It surrounds every muscle cell. So fascia is everywhere. And in the past, doctors and scientists didn't think a lot about fascia. In fact, when they were dissecting cadavers, they would throw fascia out and study the muscle and the bones instead. It's only been recently that they found what exactly fascia is. It actually has more nerve endings than muscle does. So you can have more feeling sensations from fascia than you do from muscles. That's why it's so important that your fascia is healthy. Unhealthy fascia can be shown in diseases such as fibromyalgia, where you feel pain in your fascia and your muscles all of the time. So why is it called the Bowspring? It's a funny name. So we call it the Bowspring because the front part of the body, we bow it open. So instead of crunching and going into the C-shaped posture, we open up the front body. And you can see in this figure on the right, she's got her open belly. Her belly is open. Even in the gentleman in the seated position, his belly is open and long, like a bow. So it's bowed. And then the spring aspect, I told you a little bit about that earlier. The Bowspring creates a bounciness to your body and joints. It is based off a tensegrity structure. So instead of that Lincoln log structure or a skeleton with bones stacked on top of each other, it's bouncy. And then there's some Bowspring spottings in everyday life. So this figure on the left, this gentleman is working on a weaving loom, and he's got a long belly, his glutes back, and he is in a healthy posture right now. This is different from what we see in our everyday lives. When we're working at a computer, we don't sit like this. Most people don't sit like this. And we've gone away from that. And the Bowspring is going to go back to natural, healthy posture. A lot of athletes, this picture in the middle of a climber, naturally use the Bowspring posture without even knowing it. They can feel the advantage of having a fullness in the rib cage and a tilted pelvis. And the picture on the right is an example of people in indigenous cultures that are not westernized. They still have access to strong posterior chain, and you can see that in this young boy's muscular structure. So the C curve is how we curve our body in the Western world civilization, because we're sitting in chairs, and it's not our fault. This is how life has advanced and put us. But the problem is, the longer you stay in a position like this, you'll get stuck. Your fascia will start to form webs when you sit in a place for a long amount of time. So if you're sitting in this C shape all day long, when you're sitting at your computer, and then you go home and you lay down on the recliner or lay down on the couch and you're also curled up in the C shape, and then you go to bed and you sleep for 8 hours a night curled up in the fetal position, you've just spent 24 hours with your tailbone tucked and your head forward. And what happens when you spend that much time that way is your fascia will knit webs. So the fibers knit together and you'll eventually get stuck in that position. And you'll start developing postural issues, digestion issues, and it's going to take your confidence away as well. Here's some simple illustrations here, the difference between what has different posture systems or different posture alignments. So there's the closed position, the C shape that I was talking about. The next one is the upright alignment. What they tell us is good alignment, which is the stacked one, like the Lincoln log structure, which isn't that great after all because it grinds on our bones, leads to arthritis, and isn't light. It swallows all of our energy if you try to stack yourself up all day. Then there's the sway back or hyperlordotic curve. And this is often confused with the bowspring because the glutes are back, but it's quite different. The sway back position is unhealthy and actually painful in their spine. And then the last one is the bowspring alignment. There's a fullness of the rib cage that is of utmost importance, and then the glutes are lifting up. And another thing about the bowspring is that it is dynamic. So when you are in this posture, you're able to move in a fluid-like way, as opposed to being stuck in a straight up and down position. There's not a lot of movement there. And you'll experience that when we try it out in just a bit. It also involves an openness. So we're opening our front body. So just like when an animal or a pet stretches out and they show their belly to you, they don't show their belly to anyone they're uncomfortable with because you're opening up your vital organs. It could be dangerous to do. This day and age, opening up our belly isn't dangerous. There's no bears coming to attack us. But beyond physiological, there's a psychological aspect of it. So you open up your front body and you're going to feel sensitive to different emotions. So there is an openness involved that is changing in your perspective and your mindfulness. Speaking of mindfulness, this is a mindfulness practice. So mindfulness is a buzzword these days. They're talking about how important it is to mental health, to physical health, to psychological health. And the bowspring posture, since you're constantly seeking to be in this open posture, you're constantly mindful of where your body is in space. And we're not just talking about our shoulders and our spine, but also the tips of our fingers, the tips of our toes. And when you're mindful of that all day long through whatever you're doing, your brain gets sharper, it gets more focused, you can accomplish more, and you'll have more energy. It also brings compassion that you can share with the world. So I'm gonna take this time here to share with you some moves in the bowspring and how you can start to insert bowspring into your everyday life and just some simple steps, all right? So since we do spend so much of our day seated in a chair, I'm going to show you how to sit in a mindful way so that you can get out of your chair at the end of the day and feel energized, so that you can have energy while you're in the chair to do the work that you're there doing. All right, so let's get seated in our chair. And instead of tucking the tailbone and having the head forward position, so this is what we usually do, whether we're on our computer, so elbows are back, or I might like tie my feet around. Sitting in this position is what you're used to. Okay, so we're going to do the opposite of that. We're going to open the belly. And to do that, we'll pull out. So actually do it. So pull out your buttocks flush. You can move more forward on the chair. We don't need the back of our chair right now. Pull your buttocks flush out. And what we're doing when we're doing that is we're molding the fascia. We're breaking it away from the binds, from the webs that have formed. All right? So the feet are very important here. Have the front part of your foot, so the ball of the foot and the toes, connected to the earth. And have your we'll call that the paw of your foot. So think of when an animal places their paw on the earth, you don't see their heel print, you see their paw. We have paws too. So place your paw on the floor, and you see my paws are in front of my knees. That's gonna help me gain more traction, get more rooted to the earth so I can lift my belly and my rib cage longer. Okay, paws are in front of the knees, and then there's a slight energetic pullback of your heels. I'm not really pulling my heels back. It's an isometric pullback. So I'm using my heels pulling back, but they're not really moving. I'm energetically moving my heels back, and that turns on the backs of the legs. So in the bowspring posture, we don't want anything to be so tight. We don't want anything to be really lax either. We're looking for a uniform tone throughout the whole body at the same time. How about that? So here's where the mindfulness comes in. We're paying attention to so many different things at once. All right, so heels are pulling back. There's like an energy surrounding the whole legs now. The tailbone is lifted. All right, so we're rooted, the hips down to the feet. Now we're gonna think about the rib cage. And you can bring your hands to your low back ribs. And this is an area that gets collapsed in a lot of people. So let's just breathe a bigness there. Breathe in. Breathe out. And when you breathe out, still try to keep your rib cage big all the way around, especially this low back area. Breathe in. Breathe out. Imagine your rib cage is like a barrel that expands and it keeps getting bigger every breath you take in. Also imagine your rib cage is filled with helium and it lifts towards the ceiling. Your head lifts towards the ceiling as well. So your rib cage and the head move towards the ceiling, but the bottom half of the body is rooted down, heels pulling back. Such a lightness in the rib cage. And move your arms forward. Head back. So tilt your ears back slightly to open the front. We're giving the bow position now. So the belly is open, the throat is open, the eyes are at the level of the horizon. And we repeat this template in everything we do. So how do you feel in this position? It's energized. It might feel a little exhausting at first, and that's okay. You can choose to go back to the C shape. So if this is new for you, you're going to have to go back to the C shape. So you're going to choose, I'm going to take a break, I'm going to rest. But you've got a choice, and you just made a conscious choice to go into the C shape instead of mindlessly being there all day long. So you've rested in the C shape, and then it's time to come back. And the more you practice the posture, the longer you'll be able to sustain it until you'll realize at one point you're doing the posture for the majority of the day. All right. So another thing that is important is learning how to stand in the posture as well. So when we're standing in the posture, bring the body weight to the front of the feet, to your paws. So this is a lot different than what we're used to doing in the stacked model. In the stacked model, my body weight would be in the heels, my pelvis would be tucked under, and I would be stacked straight. So this is what they tell us to do. They tell us to stand up straight, pull your shoulders back forward. But we're not going to do that in the bowspring because it's not a position of readiness or health. If someone came up to me when I wasn't paying attention and pushed me, I would topple right over. So separate your feet a little bit. Bring your body weight to the paw of your foot. Bend your knees and then tilt your pelvis so the tailbone lifts up and the pubic bone points down. When I did that, my belly got really long, and that's what we want. All right? Energetically push the knees away from each other. So when we're in this ready posture, there's a bouncy movement to it. There's a dynamism to it. So when you have a little bend in every joint, you are more available for movement and less available for falling. Also, your eyes are at the level of the horizon. That keeps your chin up and your head back, and it also opens you to communicate and engage with other people, because when we're looking down at the floor or at our phone, Or the inverse of that, we're gazing up in outer space. We're losing connection with humans. And that's so important in this day and age when we're tethered to screens. So eyes at the horizon to meet with bravery whatever you see along the way, whomever you see along the way. So one of the challenges in Bowspring is opening up the glutes so we can utilize them. The glutes and the hamstrings are part of the posterior chain, which we have forgotten how to use with our sedentary lifestyle. So one of my favorite exercises for toning the glutes and opening up the posterior chain is a wide-legged fold. A lot of people aren't available to do a wide-legged fold with the belly bowed. So we're going to use a stool, and you can use a chair or a couch or whatever you have available to you. So step wide and come into the balls of your feet, your paw, remember? And then you can bring your hand to your buttocks flesh and pull it up. That way the tailbone is lifted up, the belly is long. Fill in your big ribs, and then bring your straight arms to your chair or your stool. Belly is long, and we're gonna pulse open the backs of the legs. Tailbone lifted, all right? This might be too high for you right now, so maybe all you can do is this, opening up the backs of the legs. That's okay. Now, remember, bring your body weight to the front of your foot. The heels are light, okay? If you can go further, bring your hands to a piece of furniture and start pulsing, opening up the backs of the legs. Knees energetically resist each other. And if you can go further down, it's even more healing. Well, not even more healing, but if you have the flexibility to go further down, then do it. Open up the backs of your legs. Get more strength in the glutes. Your glutes will start to lift and mount eventually. Okay. Now, the common mistake here is people want to go further down, so they're tuck their pelvis under and go down. So you just lost access to the backside of your leg, and you lost that essential glute toning when you did. So only go to a point where you can keep the belly long and the glutes lifted. And pulse. Cool. And then to come up, we're going to look at the horizon and float the heart up. Very good. So another important aspect in the Bowspring is opening up the sides bodies. There's hardly any circumstance or opportunity we get in our everyday life to open up the side ribs. So as a result, the fascia there gets stuck, and we get limited in our shoulders. We get shoulder and neck pain is the result of that. So we're going to open up our side bodies now. So step wide and reach your arms forward. So from the side, I've still got my knees bent and my butt back. All right? Reach your hand forward, and then pretend like we're holding a big steering wheel. We're going to drive the big bus. So start to steer it one way. Yeah, and then let the top shoulder just slide all the way off your rib cage. Tilt your head the other way. Keep your face forward towards me. And then pulse it a little bit, opening up the side ribs. So from the side, I still got my butt up, my ribs full, head back. Yeah, and then drive the bus back up, and then we'll drive it the other way. Driving the big bus. Yeah. Tilting the right ear towards the right shoulder this time. The left neck starts to tilt long. Yeah, hips back, ribs back, head back. Let this top shoulder lift all the way up. And then come back up, keep your belly long all the while. Very good. Nice. So another rib opening exercise is, we call it the seaweed sway. So first we're going to keep our hips pinned in one position. If they start to move, you can put your butt on the wall, but keep your hips back. All right? So we'll start to isolate the ribs and let the arms move, trailing behind the ribs. There we go. Get in the front parts of your feet. Heels light, belly long. Slide and glide. Head back, Heart back, hips back. Very nice. Let your shoulders lift up and broaden. Yeah. Bring your arms forward of the body. And we'll squat back. Push your arms down like you're pushing them into resistance. And then pump. As if you're pushing yourself out of a pool. The belly gets long, the heart lifts up. One more. Cool. All right, now I'm going to teach you how to sit up and down from a chair mindfully. How many times do you sit down in a chair throughout your day? Maybe 100 times. So what if you did it in a mindful way every time you did it? That would make every time you sit in a chair a squat. So if you sit down in a chair 100 times a day, and then you start doing it mindfully 100 times a day, you're getting 100 squats in the day without even going to the gym or going to your yoga mat. So let's try it together. It's very conscious and very mindful the way that we'll do it. So walk back so you can feel the chair behind you. You can look at it if you're scared. You don't want to sit on nothing. All right, keep your eyes at the level of the horizon, the chin at the level of the horizon. We'll lift our arms up to the horizon as well. Push your hands forward like you're trying to touch something really far away. Yeah, get into the front part of your foot. The heels are light. Bend your knees, and then you're gonna think about it as aiming your pubic bone to the chair, aiming your tailbone to the ceiling, all right? When you do, energetically push your knees away from each other. Don't really separate them, energetically push them away. You ready? Hands forward, belly long. Aim your pubic bone for the tailbone lifts slowly down. Knees resist one another. Pubic bone aims at chair. Tailbone lifts the whole way. Beautiful. Your tailbone is lifted off the chair. We're not sitting on our butt. We're sitting on our leg bones. The belly is long, and we've mindfully sat down. So let's go up the same way. All right? So just the same. You can bring your arms forward for more balance. Eyes at the horizon. Keep your eyes up, head up the whole way. Knees energetically resist, tailbone lifts, and then come to standing. Beautiful. Start to insert that into your everyday life. You'll start seeing results really, really soon. Beautiful. All right, let's come back down to the chair. Nice. All right, so some great exercises for opening up the side body when you're sitting in a chair all day is to take the arms up, forward, and then bend them like you're doing a chin up. All right, sweep the hands to the sides of the head and make the elbows forward towards your nose. And then start to arc to the left. Let the right ribs rainbow up and pulse. Keep your heels light. Good. Your heart, rib cage big, pulsing, opening up the side ribs. Come up center. And then we're going to go the other way. Keeping the belly long. I'm going to show it to you from the side. So I'm still pulling my head back, my ribs back, and my butt back as I crescent to the side. So a tendency here is for people to curl over because they'll be like, oh, look, Samantha, I can arch over more, but really they've lost it because they put their head down and they tuck their tailbone. So even if you can't arc over that much, keep it tall. Keep it curvy. Come up center. Beautiful. Some other tips. When you're seated in your chair for a long amount of time, keep your computer screen, your computer monitor at a level so that your eyes, if you're sitting with your eyes at the horizon, meet the center of the screen. So you can't have your computer screen down here because you'll have to look at it all day down there. Lift your screen up so you can keep your belly long. In this mindful position, you can reach, you can work, and you can stay energized all day. One more thing, and this is a little bit more advanced, is picking up stuff from the floor in the bowspring posture. So this might take a little bit of work and practice, but once you do, it can be another thing in your tool chest to start toning your body while you're doing your everyday activities. So normally, if you're gonna pick something up off the floor, you would tuck your tailbone, curl over, and pick it up. I mean, how many times do you do this all day? If you have a small child, you probably do the same thing. Walking around, hunched over, butt flat, butt tucked under. By the way, this bowspring lifts your butt up to a healthy posture. All right, so I'm gonna pick up the block in a mindful position. All right, so I'll step 1 foot behind me, keep the tailbone lifted, keep the ribs buoyant and light, and then pick up the block. And you can try that with just a squat. Belly long, tailbone lifts, pick up. So incorporating these movements in the mindful posture into your everyday life will change not only your body, but your brain. Because neurons that fire together, wire together. And you'll start to change your brain neuroplasticity. So today I just demonstrated some bowspring exercises you can do in your everyday life. Now bowspring is so involved that we could do an hour-long practice on the mat, twisting and turning and opening up our whole body. And if you're interested in going deeper into the bowspring, I recommend that you look up bowspring videos online, and you can find them on my YouTube channel and other people as well. I'm going to share with you a little bit more. So some of the benefits of the bowspring. And I've already shared a little bit with you already. So pain relief, eventual loss of pain, because we're separating the bones away from each other. There is a vitality, increase of life force. One of the things that I felt and experienced the most in my body was that there was a uniform tone around the bone. So I started to get really toned without having to do that much. So I don't have to spend my life at the gym, but my body looks like I do. Some of the mental benefits. So I myself was already a yoga practitioner before, so I got the most benefits out of bowspring were mental and psychological. Now, some of the clients that I work with, they've come to me from different backgrounds, and their benefits maybe were purely physical benefits, and that's fine. So whatever you get out of it, you'll get a little bit out of each category, but one of them you're gonna get more benefits out of it than other. So for me, the ability to focus. I've struggled with ADHD my whole life, and this has changed my ability to focus because I'm in a mindful position, I'm a mindful posture, I'm paying attention to what I'm doing with my whole body and mind at the same time, and it's really practiced that in my life. And the emotional benefits, probably the biggest benefits that I got out of this were courage. Practicing this posture in my everyday life has changed everything. So when you walk into a room in this mindful posture, I guarantee people will treat you differently. When you sit at a table full of people and you're in a mindful posture, you will look like the leader. And people will sit up tall to match you. Practice that and see if it happens. I'm sure it will. It happens to me every time. People will match their posture. People will treat you differently. You'll experience more money, more integrity, more energy, more faith. And I appreciate your interest in taking care of your mind and body. If you would like to learn more about Bowspring, you can find me online. On Facebook, you can look me up, Samantha Simpson. On Instagram, I've got some cool videos and awesome Bowspring poses to try. or check out my YouTube channel. The best way to find it is just search my name, Samantha Simpson Yoga, or Samantha Simpson Bowspring on YouTube. And if you would like to schedule a complimentary strategy session with me, check out my website, www.thesamanthaSimpson.com, and you can learn more about my programs. And I want to thank again Ess McKee and the 10 East Arts for this programming and sharing this healing modality with as many people as possible. Thank you. Have a nice day.